Hi, my name is Mike Montgomery, and today I'm going to be showing you how you can build your very own modern bench made completely out of 2x4s on Modern Builds. Now, I was commissioned to build 2 of these benches, and some of you may recognize the design. That's because a blog called DIY Candy actually designed these. This is the first time I've done a project that I didn't necessarily design. Now, on their website, they just did a written article, which is great, but I thought if I could do a video, that could even help more. So I'm gonna be leaving a link in the description to their blog. Check it out, because they've got some awesome stuff. Otherwise, let's get started. So I started the project by simply cutting a lot of 2x4s. Now the lengths you cut are going to be dependent on the size bench you want to make, but I will say, if you can set up a stop block, that is going to help keep everything square and consistent. And all of my dimensions will be in my written article. Now because 2x4s do have a rounded edge on them, I had to run them through the table saw to knock that off. That way, when I glued them up, everything was square. And once that's done, you should have all your pieces ready to assemble. And I'm using Titebond 3 to hold everything together because it's a wood glue that is waterproof since these are going to be outdoors. And I really assembled the bench one slat at a time, basically putting one leg in, making sure it's square, and then putting in the next. Now I could have made the entire platform and then put the legs in, that would work too, but doing it this way I made sure that all of my legs were lined up and square. And as I kept going, I could really feel this thing getting strong. This box joint type configuration is actually a really tough joint. And it was really cool because I was able to hold everything together with finish nails while I put it together. And once I had one of the legs done, I went ahead and did the other side. And this side went on super fast. If I was to give any tips for this project, it would be to get a really big bottle of glue, because you end up using a lot. Now I wanted to make sure I used plenty because this is going to be outdoors and in the elements, and I ended up running through a few of these small bottles. And once I got my final leg piece in, I clamped everything up to make sure I got out as many gaps as I possibly could. Now inevitably there are going to be some left over, so what you can do is mix up wood glue and sawdust and use that to fill any cracks. That way it blends in. To flatten everything and rough sand, I used a belt sander. You're definitely gonna want to get a belt sander. You're not going to be able to do this project with just a palm sander. It's just too much sanding. And whenever you're using a tool that kicks up this much dust, make sure you're using a respirator because you don't want to get that stuff in your lungs. And once I had all of my surfaces cleaned up and squared up, I needed to flatten out the bottom of my legs. And to do this, I used a straight edge and a circular saw. And because it didn't cut all the way through, I used my hand saw to get the rest of the way through, as well as a belt sander. Next, I installed some adjustable metal feet to the bottom of the legs. That way, if they're sitting on ground that's not perfectly level, I can flatten it out, as well as if the ground gets wet, they won't be sitting on wet concrete, which is terrible for the wood. Finally, I could finish sand all the way up to 220 grit and put on a coat of dark walnut Danish oil, and I really love how that came out. As a waterproofer, I'm using Thompson's Water Seal, the clear version, which doesn't alter the color of the stain. Now this stuff basically soaks into the wood and makes it to where the water can't penetrate the wood, it just pools on top. This stuff is super strong because it's actually made to protect decks, so this should be perfect. Now I have to say, these benches are incredible. I absolutely love them, and these box joint corners are so interesting and neat. Such a great idea. Now, I'm going to leave the dimensions to everything I made in my written article, but more importantly, I'm going to add all of the math too so that you can figure out the size you need to cut everything to build one to fit your space. Alright, so that's really all there is to it. Now this was a really cool project and I hope you all enjoyed it. If you did and this is your first time here, I want to say welcome and subscribe because I put out a new project video every week and you'll definitely want to check those out. Also, if you've got any questions, leave me a comment and I'll try my best to get to all of those. If you liked this video, make sure and hit that thumbs up. That lets me know what y'all are into and what you might want to see next. I've also got a really cool new thing on my website. It's basically a page of viewer submissions of projects inspired by my videos. So if you ever built one of my projects and want to show it off, and I would love to see it, check out this link right here. It'll take you to a form where you can really quickly fill it out, upload some pictures of it, and everyone can see it. So make sure and check that out. If you want to check out what I'm up to throughout the week, don't forget to follow me on Instagram. That is my social media of choice and where I post most often. I've had a lot of people following and commenting and just having cool conversations on there. So make sure and check that out. Thanks again everybody for watching, and we will see you next week for another project on Modern Builds.